Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition, another episode of Rethinking Freedom. Of course, I am your host, Aya Fubara-Abraham. With me today are two really important people in my life. One is my mother, Dr. Vinolia Fubara, or if I use all of her titles, it would be Her Royal Highness Alabota, Dr. Vinolia Fubara. And with me also is my, should I say big sister?
Your only big sister.
My only big sister. I have three sisters altogether, but this is my big sister, Kalane Fubara, who is an extraordinary woman in her own right and also happens to be a mother of four. And we're really excited to come to you today. Yes, it's the day after Mother's Day, but you know what? Every day is Mother's Day. And we want to have this conversation about rethinking motherhood, rethinking freedom, rethinking the roles that mothers play or should be playing as we raise up a generation that hopefully will change the world, make the world better. So, Mommy, welcome to the Rethinking Freedom Show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And Kalane, thank you so much. I know it's really late where you are, so thank you so much for staying up to join us today. So let's jump right into it. Mommy, did you always know you wanted to be a mother?
Why is she taking so long to answer like this?
The question.
I don't know which child is making her rethink.
I don't know which child she didn't want.
Is so abrupt, Yeah.
Aya, you forgot to tell your listeners that Mommy has 7 children.
Okay, say that again because she was talking. We couldn't hear you.
You didn't tell your listeners how many children Mommy had.
I was going to ask her and have her share that herself.
Okay.
But did you always think you were going to be a mother?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. And has it been everything you thought it would be?
Not exactly.
And how many children did you end up having? 7,
even though we wanted 4.
Oh, well, I'm number 3, so I fit into the original plan.
I'm in the original plan too.
We will not tell the other 3.
No, please don't. Because the last time I mentioned this, Soba said, oh, so I was unwanted child. I said no.
And so that would be your
5.
Your 5th child. Yes, that would be my other sister. Kalane, how about you? Did you know you always wanted to be a mother?
Yeah.
Okay, and why?
I wanted 4, and I had 4.
Oh, wow.
But it's not what I thought it would be. I recall a few, maybe as recently as last year, I was complaining to Mommy, and I said to her, gosh, what's wrong with these kids? They just keep bugging me for anything. When does it stop? And Mommy looked me dead in the face and goes, have you stopped bothering me?
That's true. That is true. And of course, she's here visiting me in Texas. And so, yes, we don't, as a matter of fact, she just finished cooking soup for Idawari. So that's what mothers do. And Madu. Now, on a serious note, though, of course, you have 7 biological children, but there are many other people who call you mother. And I think it's important to share a little bit about who you are and what you do, because I know that there are many women who desire or have desired to have children and did not have biological children. Does that prevent them from being mothers?
Not really, but it depends on the culture. Our culture makes a woman feel not valued or not been productive or achieved anything if you don't have your own biological child. They look down on you because the 9 months of carrying a child has a lot of psychological effect on the mother. And so it's like a bonding process. It is a way of nature preparing you for that bundle of joy that you see later. You know, people keep saying, when you are in labor, you scream bloody mother. And some of us will say, after this, I'm not going through this anymore. And immediately you have the baby you deliver. You tend to forget all those pains, and you have overwhelmed of joyful to have that bundle in front of you and carrying the baby. And the process of nursing a child brings another whole thing to a mother. You feel fulfilled. You transfer warmth, both psychological and biological, to the child, and it really makes you feel fulfilled.
So, Kane, we both know we have friends who Mother's Day is a tough day for them. It could be because of their relationship with their mother, or not having a mother, losing a mother as a young person, or not being able to have their own biological children in a world where so much of what it means to be a woman seems to be also defined by being able to have a biological child. What, if anything, would you say to those women today, as we talk about motherhood?
I think mommy was very accurate in saying that it depends on the culture in which you abide in. And cultures are merging these days.
Mhm.
The Western Hemisphere with the Middle East, with the African, the lines are becoming quite blurred. And I think it has become less of a stigma now if you do not have a biological child. And many women and men are very accepting of adopting children. Also, because in this latter generation of human beings, we focused a lot on our personal growth and our career growth and waited a little bit too long to have children. And so adopting becomes the natural go-to. And I hear people saying there's so many children in the world without parents, why don't I just go adopt one? So I think uh, mommy was very correct in saying, your culture dictates, but cultures are merging these days, and it's become more acceptable to adopt a child from birth. And though them, missing out on the labor part. Shoot, I missed out on the labor part. I took epidural for all my kids. I was not about to go through that pain. um, but I still carried the child for 9 months. But I think there's so many more. Like, look at our mom. Do you know how many people call our mother mom and our father daddy?
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. But let the true seven stand up will eventually be my cry. Um, um, but motherhood is it's an amazing experience. At some point, that companionship that you develop with your child, if you do it right, and there's no right or wrong process to it, but if you do it right, you'll have a different relationship with all the children that birthed from your same womb, even if it's with the same partner. So it's an amazing and a long term commitment.
That doesn't just end when they're 18 years old, is what you're saying, huh?
We again, culture kicks in. 18 in our culture, nobody's going anywhere at 18. Nobody, girl, I'm in my 50s. I can't go anywhere. I'm in my parents' house in my 50s, and I step out, and mommy is calling me at 9 p.m. that it's time to come home. And I'm like, Mom.
We should say for our listeners that you do have your own home, you do have your own career, you're not living in your parents' basement. We're just talking about when she goes to visit, or when any of us
Yes.
go to visit.
Yes, when any of us go to visit, have you eaten? Did you brush your teeth? Did you put your neck this way? Is your shoe tied? I mean, it doesn't stop with our mom, and we're in our 50s.
That's absolutely true. As we talk about culture, though, I'm thinking of women in our family who did not birth children, but nonetheless played the role of mother. So, Daddy, for instance, was raised more by his aunts than he was his biological mother.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to say that, just as you've said, that there are many children in the world, there are many of us seeking parenting, and certainly, even though my children have me as their biological mother, I've also made it my goal, my aim, to have friends in my life who my children can turn to should they need something, who can serve in that mother role. I think we recognize that even when we talk about godparents as well, godmothers and godfathers too, that there is a role for other people to play. And so even as we talk more about this experience of being mothers, it's important to me, having been one who experienced four miscarriages, understand the pain of infertility, for those who desire children. I know everybody doesn't, but for those who desire children, not to feel that if they were not able to have a biological child, that means that they cannot experience the joys of motherhood in any way, and should I say the travails of motherhood as well. So, mommy, as Kalani said earlier, you had seven biological children. We know that one of your children is now an ancestor, and maybe at some point we can talk about what that pain is like, because that is a pain that unfortunately too many women across the world, and particularly Black women, have experienced, as we also fight white supremacy and colonialism and neocolonialism and Jim Crow and all of the racial issues across the world. But what lessons, if any, did you learn from your mother that influenced you as a mother?
I would really like to hear this answer.
Yes, and then I'm going to ask you what you learned from your mother that has influenced you as a mother.
Yeah. I think this is an important question. And I always tell my clients, I said, nobody you go to school to learn other skills. Nobody has gone to school to learn motherhood. And so where do you get your motherhood skills? Is through your mothers. We tend to parent the way our mothers parented us. And you have to be very objective, in tune with yourself, to be able to know when you cross into that line. In our own upbringing, especially in my neighborhood.
And you grew up in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay.
You find out that parents don't use praise. We tend to do more of pointing out the negative than seeing the positive. Each time you are correcting a child, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. We don't take time to say, oh, you did this very well. This is great. Praise is not in our upbringing. And there are certain things my mother did, and I said, when I have children, I won't do this. I won't do it the same way. And today, my children will tell me, oh, When they were
I will tell you.
even up to today, they are all grown. I mean, they'll come to visit and they will go. You are yelling, mommy. You are yelling.
We have some other people who've just joined. We'll let you answer the question, and then we'll let them say a few words. And
Hey, baby girl.
it's a party up in here.
Yeah.
There are a lot of us.
Madu can't be joining now. Madu's the grandkids are joining now.
We're gonna let them join so they can go on with their lives, I guess.
Get
Okay. So let's hear what Kalani has to say about what lessons you learned from about motherhood and parenting from your mother.
Actually, since Nathan is on here, I would like Nathan to tell me if I act like grandma.
Okay, so Nathan is Kalane's first son, and Nathan is an attorney who's figuring out his camera, and he's on the East Coast. Nathan, do
Yeah, can you
you
guys?
see similarities between grandma and your mom?
You know, the only similarities I see are that they're both just so amazing. Um,
Oh,
you know,
they're both so amazing.
yep.
Yeah, thank
I
God.
mean, sometimes they what's the word? I want to say busybody, but they like to have their hands in a lot of things. It's hard for them to relax sometimes.
Well, that's interesting. Let's ask Madhu. Madhu, what do you think? What are the similarities between your grandma and your mom? Madhu is my
I
first.
think I think Nathan hit the nail on the head. But yeah, just being an amazing woman, extremely hardworking, extremely intelligent, beautiful heart, and those are the first three that come to mind.
Man, we paid these kids well.
No, I didn't pay, but if you're paying, Madhu, send her your Cash App or your Zelle.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my invoice.
You're still waiting for yours. Well, how about you, Didi? Didi, what do you see in grandma that maybe because Didi's mom is my sister-in-law? Do you think grandma in any way has rubbed off on your mother, or what qualities do you see in grandma?
Yeah, I think that. Relax.
And that's your first great grandchild. That's Drew. Hi, Drew.
Yeah.
I think one quality I see is that they're not afraid to just tell you how it is, and like whether like for better or for worse, like they're always trying to make that you're becoming a better version of yourself that aligns with maximizing your potential. And so there's a lot of times when I know my mom was like, you're not going to do this, you're going to study, you're going to clean your room, you're going to whatever, apologize to this person. I think it's all in support of us as people. So I think that's one thing that I would say I see as far as like grandma and my mom.
Well, I mean, if that's it, then we're doing a great job. Grandma, you're doing a great job. So, Anna, the question we're asking right now, and then we're going to come to you, Soba, is what similarities do you see between how grandma parents and how I parent? And Anna, for our guest, Anna is my third child, my second daughter. Thanks for joining us.
The similarity I see is integrity and charity in terms of how you guys parent.
Yeah, and we want to hear the real stuff that you guys don't like about what we do. But it's interesting that our native brought up integrity. Mommy has integrity. Everyone who comes across her talks about her integrity and that she is such a lady. And sometimes that ladyship, I'm like, Mommy, we are in the 21st century. We don't need to eat 3-course meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with a charger to boot. But yeah. But you guys talk about the things you don't like.
So grandma said that one of the things she didn't want to get from her mother was yelling. And I know my mother yells. Kalani, did mommy yell at you?
Who? What? My ear hurts.
Soba, what are the similarities between how you mother your children and how mommy mothered you? And Soba is child number 5, so she's
Yes.
one who did not make the cut. Soba, mommy said she initially only wanted
Wait,
4 children.
Soba didn't make the cut, but Soba is golden child.
Soba is golden
Never.
child. Yes, she
Soba's
is.
golden child.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what golden child means, but so I think mommy and I do have a lot of similarities. I'm actually trying to stick more to the good ones than the other side. So you talked about, because the kids actually point this out to me a lot. When I walk in, the first thing I want to do is talk about what's not in place, or when I get their grades. Yeah, when I get their grades, I go straight for the one that wasn't the greatest. I don't go through and say, "Oh, 5 A's." What did we? Well done, but there's a lot of emphasis on what happened to this side, why you like, and then we overlook the good side. So that's a struggle to get in the habit of trying to focus on the positives first, and then obviously, because they'll respond better if you're actually acknowledging the positives first. So that's one of the similarities. I think the hardest part sometimes is, I think mommy and I have had this conversation of raising kids now and raising kids then is a little bit different. She's even made comments about she might be in jail if she was raising in this day and age, because um, with age, mommy and daddy now actually listen better and are calm. I mean, they can actually teach my kids and have lessons, and kids look forward to having them over. Where I hear other people where they have grandparents that they don't even want to see, or even the parents that don't have the time. So I remember, even not to add daddy to this, but he's talking about having more conversations instead of just saying no. Because our generation now, mommy even used to say, actually came up with Didi when she was talking to Kalada about spanking isn't the answer to it. You have to, spanking doesn't work anymore. You now have to start taking away some privileges because the spanking isn't going to work. So yeah, those are some of the things. And I think, like I tell Dahai, if I probably listened to maybe 10% more of what mommy said, I'm sure maybe my life would have the journey may not be long to where I'm getting to. And I think Nathan said something about uh, sometimes it's tough love. She tells you what you really need to hear, but you don't really want to hear. Maybe also at the wrong time. Like maybe you're in the heat of the mistake, and it's like you don't need to amplify it. But she does a good job to let you know, well, yeah, I mean, you're, we had so many conversations like that, and it's like, it's not the time for you to tell me. But when you reflect, yeah, she is being honest. And her first word was self-deceit. That's all you would hear, self-deceit, self.
So I don't want to hold the grandkids too long. Is there anything you all want to say before you exit and carry on with your day? And then Soba and mommy and I will continue our conversation.
I can real quick. I think what I would want to say is that I know, like, I think it's common nowadays, and you kind of touched on this earlier. Um, a lot of women find it difficult to balance having children and a career and being around in the kids' lives, and especially in my life with my mom. I mean, obviously, she's done a lot of things, like a lot. I'm not even going to talk about all of them because there's so many. Um, a lot of things professionally that are incredibly impressive, but the thing that always brings comfort to me that I always think about is like, oh man, I can't wait to go home and get some of my mom's food. Like home halfway across the world, and how and she was very always like consistently home and like wanted to be around us and cook. And be around the house with us. And I don't know how she managed to do that, but it was awesome. And I'm glad that I got to get the best of both worlds and that kind of teaching and influence in my life.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. We really appreciate you, Nathan. We'll see you
You're
later.
welcome, Mom.
I'll
Matt,
just
anything
say,
you'd like to say?
what do you say?
Go ahead.
Somebody's
Minute.
mic is creating a lot of static. Ah, okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Madhu.
Okay, yes. I just wanted to say happy Mother's Day to my wonderful mom, to grandma, to my beautiful aunts who are also on this call, and to all my aunties who are not on the call. Thank you, Mom, for all of everything that you've poured into me, for always being there to support me emotionally, mentally, and in all the ways that you've showed up. You've been an amazing example in my life, and I am truly grateful to have you as my mom. So happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Second
Madhu,
mom raising her
I do
hand.
want to ask this question, if I may. What is something that you wish I knew and did better in parenting you?
Madhu's off.
Is he off?
You're asking that to me?
Yes.
That you knew and did better.
Because I think this will help our viewers, those listening, in their conversations with their children, or even just the people that they are parenting, even if they're not biological parents.
Mm-hmm. Let me think about that question, and you can have the other grandkids say their piece real quick, and then I'll answer.
Okay. Didi, anything you'd like to say, you and Drew, before you guys sign off?
Yeah, definitely happy Mother's Day. Love all of you guys. And I think you said it in the beginning, but like, of course, everyone has their own biological kid, but that doesn't mean you can't be a mother, like in other ways. And I think I just can recall just different situations with each and every one of you, whether it's going to, Orlando to for soccer tournaments and stay with Auntie Kalane, or Auntie Soba's always checking in and just seeing how things are going. And same with the Auntie I, and then Grandma coming to Charlotte to visit. And I think there's like little things that I picked up from each and every one of you. And I think you guys always show the same amount of like care and love and support as if, we were one of your own. So that's something that I know I definitely appreciate. And just love you guys for it. So happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. See y'all in DC in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Say bye. Say bye. Can you wait? Can you wait? Okay, bye guys.
All right. Bye. How about you, Anna? Anything you'd like to say?
Yes. Touching back on the integrity thing, I would say seeing how grandma held her children to a higher standard, and how that reflected, and how you, Mom, held us to a higher standard, and how, being around people and not always seeing that, but having that standard for yourself within, and that be the drive. So I would say that's a difference. And yeah.
So I'm going to ask you this, and feel free to be honest with this answer. What could I have done differently or better as a mother to you?
I think just realizing that your children have like different personalities, and maybe tailoring your responses and actions to those different personalities. Yeah.
Girl, do you know how hard it is to cater to 5 different personalities in one home on one topic? Cut us some slack.
It's extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. Yes, but all the thanks and praise to my mom, because I would not be where I am today without her, or grandma, and to all of you guys for being a wonderful example.
Love you, Anna.
Me
Love
too.
you, sweetheart. All right, we'll see you later.
Love you. See you.
How about you, Madhu?
For me, I'd probably say, I guess not taking on as much sometimes, and being better at, for lack of a better term, like distributing responsibility or kind of assigning responsibility. I
That's
think.
from Mother Straight, so it's you can't take that away.
But it's funny that Madhu says this because I had this conversation with Madhu that he does not need to take on the world. And you're doing the same. Look at you. Madhu's doing the same thing his mother does. Madhu wears it all.
So you,
I'm working on it.
And,
I'm working on it.
and of course, we know mommy does that as well, which is what Soba was talking about.
But I want to go back to what Anna said and ask mommy.
Madhu, are you done? So that anything else you want to say?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I love you all. I'll tune in to watch the rest of the show.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
I was going to say that Anna raised something really profound in that, mommy, you had 7 kids and we all had different personalities. How did you do one size fits all, or did you actually, you did have favorites? Soba and Kalada were your favorites, so they never got.
She did one size fits all.
She did one size fits all.
Yeah, it just landed different ways, but it was the same. I don't think that. I think everybody got the one that probably didn't get as much. It's probably Dawari, I would say, out of everybody. But I think
Dawari is the youngest of the 7.
Yeah, and probably maybe because maybe by that time, after dealing with 6 people,
she was tired.
It's not just being tired. Yeah, Soba is right by saying it's one size fits. But in my mind, I was thinking, especially after my first degree in psychology, I realized that because each child is different, their personalities are different, I could not do one size fits all. And I tried.
Wait. So after you raised the first 4, then you realized that you need to change your style?
Of course.
No, but when did you change your style?
Oh, you didn't see that I changed. Okay.
No, you changed it with the grandkids, but you didn't change your style.
But if you were Kalada, one thing you have to realize with most parents, your expectation of the first child is always much, much higher and tough. You make the first, and even if you read Parsons, it will tell you positions of children in childbirth, positions also add things to them. First child is expected to be very responsible. To carry it's like he's going to carry the load of every other person. While the last child, by then, you have learned,
tired.
Yeah, not only being tired, you have learned a lot. Your mistakes from the other ones, and you tend to parent differently. But maybe tiredness is also part of it. That's why you're advised not to have children at age 60, because you can't keep up with the child.
Age 60.
Because
whoever is looking for a child at age 50 Is he
Well,
gonna have?
I
Is he
mean,
gonna have a problem?
age is just a number. So,
People
but
are having children these days at 50.
Yeah, but I think, mommy, yes, I mean, not for whatever reason they're having it at 50, but you have to admit that um, a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old with a 10-year-old, you have a lot. There's a huge, huge gap.
Exactly.
Like even talking to Dahai, the world that I raised him in, and the world
who's the high so that our
Dahai is my first son. Talking to Dahai, and there's a 10-year gap between the first and the second. The world that he grew up in and the world the kids are growing up now is night and day, and they're just 10 years apart. So I can't even raise. I have to deal with Henok and Saba a little bit different than I actually did with Dahai, because what they're facing, Dahai didn't even have to go through, and it was just a 10-year gap.
So Anna brought up something about setting standards, and Mommy, you've talked about expectations. So the question I have for all of you is, what traditions or wisdom have you intentionally inculcated into your parenting or attempted to pass on to your children?
And again, maybe my personality,
Yeah, we know about your personality now.
Maybe my personality required, a lot of tough love from my mother. I can say that I got most of my disciplining from my mother and not from my father. And Soba has alluded to it, in today's world, and all the while growing up, I needed my kids to know that I am a safe place. Our parents used to tell us, no matter what you do outside the house, even if you kill someone, tell us the truth so we can protect you. If you don't tell us the truth, we can't protect you. And so I drum this into my kids. I am your safe place. Yes, I might yell at you if you do something wrong, but I will quickly switch gears into how do we fix this? And I think that resonates very deeply with my kids. And then the second thing I learned as they became teenagers and were growing up is I needed to be that place where they could breathe. I had a 14-year-old daughter who didn't want to turn 18 because she was scared of paying taxes and she might get arrested if she forgets. So I needed my kids to breathe. This life is a true rat race, and the pressures can get to you. Suicidal rate is up. Mental health is all over the place. I need my kids to learn how to breathe and to know that I'm a safe place.
Thank you. That's really important. How about you, Soba?
Kalane talked so much. So what's the question again?
The question is, what wisdom have you taken and incorporated into your parenting? What are some of the values that you're trying to pass on as well to your children?
Wisdom from our parent or just in general?
In general, and if you got it from your parent, great. But yeah, in general.
I think this generation is, it's actually been, if I were to write a book, I would say every delay can actually be a blessing. I think I've mentioned to Mommy and Kalane before, there are lots of delays in my life that I look at it now that if I didn't delay, I probably won't be where I am. Actually, short one is just even being in Nigeria right now. I think Kalane and Mommy can remember when Wakanow made the offer for me to stay in 2014. And
because you were previously here in the United States.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they offered housing, everything. Caribbean thought I was crazy. What is your problem? Everything is paid for. Everybody wants to come back home. And I decided that it wasn't the time. At that time, it seemed like I was crazy. But looking back now, if I did that then, there's probably a 90% chance that the journey I'm going through right now won't have taken place. And there's so many other things in life. But I think the generation now is all about instant. It's the microwave generation. I gotta press it. We grew up, and I think Caribbean's journey actually brought a lot back, where we would bring out his food in advance, like we used to do when we grew up, and let it thaw, and then put it on the stove to warm it up. There
And so
wasn't
when
any
you say
rush.
Carrie B, you're talking about our brother who's now an ancestor. And when
Yeah,
he was
so it brought back memories when you could actually plan the way, and that's the way. If you remember, mommy, the soup comes out
in the
in the
morning.
morning. It's it left in water. By the time you get back, it's defrosted, and everybody still ate. We didn't have the microwave that just goes sort of, you know. And I think that's what's happening with this generation and our kids, where if it's not happening immediately, and if we're not getting an answer, and everybody's agitated, and just going through the process of slow and steady, which helps, like Kalani mentioned, with their mental health, because it isn't a rat race, but we're such in when you even look at jobs, you find people within 1 year, they just want to move, quit, go to the next one. Even relationships, when you're talking about, even as part of our motherhood is also learning how to handle our partners. And a lot of it too is just the whole fast. So I want to continue to instill in the kids that, it's not slow and steady, but just take it easy. And then there's no competition. I think that we've all, like I tried to tell Saba, she wants to go to this school or go to that school. I think Warren Buffett just put something out where he says when he's hiring managers or directors, he doesn't focus on the school that they attended, but the experience that they have. And so all those things play in, so that they're actually able to define their own self and not judge themselves by where others are. Because that's, with the social media today, you immediately look and it's like, oh, this 26-year-old has their whole life together, and I feel like I'm 10, 20 years back. And so you start to judge your life and create those uncertainties and mental case scenarios, because you're not just living and going with your own journey.
Okay.
You said Kalane talk too much. Those who
it runs in the family. So I had to, I couldn't back
You had to use up the time while you had it, right? While you had the mic.
Thank you, my mother.
I think both of you have actually, from what you have said, you have actually pointed out your own unique values. Like Soba has mentioned, yes, she's not in a hurry. She will tell you, be coming down. Take time. Don't rush, which is a good thing. And as my first daughter also said, she is so much interested in giving the children a breathing space, that is allowing them to make some mistakes and learn through their mistakes, which in our own generation, like Soba pointed out, we don't allow, it looks like making a mistake was a taboo. Like as I stated earlier, that I will start off on the negative all the time. You did this, you did this. instead of focusing on the positive. And as I grew older, Soba used to put me in check. Mommy, why can't you be positive? Why are you? And I do acknowledge that, like I mentioned earlier, we tend to parent the way we were parented. It takes someone with self-confidence to be able to question his or her own action, And
Can I ask mommy a question?
Okay.
But why do you grandparent different than you parent?
Okay. I think at the time you become grandparents, age has a way of mellowing people. What you are no longer
not every grandparent. Some are.
Okay. I see you are no longer in that competition or feeling, not competition, feeling I have to do it right. You are now at the position of making your grandchildren more comfortable around you. Your value tend to be switched over. You want to enjoy their grandchildren.
Yeah, you didn't want to enjoy us.
Instead of pushing them. Because with your children, you want to do a good job so that they can also do good job with their children. Now I'm proud of my grandchildren. Every day daddy will say, look at all my 16 grandchildren. They are gold stars, And you know how daddy brags about his children, and now it's not just the children, it has gone over to the grandchildren.
So we in just a little time that we have left, we have about 12 minutes left here. So there are the joys of parenting, there are the joys of being a mother, but there are also the challenges that sometimes come with it. When your kids are going through hard times, when maybe you're going through a hard time, how have you addressed that? How have you been able to still show up as a mother that you want to be for your child, even when your child might be making a decision contrary to what you think is in their best interest? If each of you could just take maybe a minute or two on that.
It's Chineke.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you translate that, please?
Exactly.
That will be Jesus. This is when you say, Jesus, take the wheel, because before I lose control.
Jesus does not have a driver's license. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I agree with you 100%.
And that's a brilliant question, because I can remember telling my friends and in my prayer life, I do not ever want to be in a position where my child calls me and says, I need money and I cannot send it. I don't ever want to be in a position where my children are desperate and I am not the answer. Whether I have to go to someone else for help. But think about it. If your child needs help and they can't get it from their parent, or they would have gone to their sibling already first. Parent is the last resort, and they can't get it, then life starts to look really desperate and really bleak. And when I'm going through troubling times, I do my best, and I think I've been pretty good at it, not to let my children see what I'm going through, because I don't need to be a burden to them or to make them worry.
Okay, so as we're sharing this, I have to ask you this. Is there a concern about creating codependency where your children feel like mommy can and should always fix it?
I think I was able to create a healthy balance in that, as much as I I am their go-to, I hear them saying all the time amongst themselves, no, don't go to mommy for that. Don't do this, don't do that. And now that they've grown up, I can tell you my kids can go a whole year or 2 years or even 3 without asking me for a dime. And what I do for them, I insist on doing it for them. So I think we escaped the codependency trait.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, have no shame going to my parents if I need help.
I don't listen to
So,
her.
mommy,
She has not been coming
well,
to the parents.
I'm going to be coming. So, just letting you know now, live and on air. So, how did you deal with times when we didn't make good choices? Because let me just say this for my viewers: there was a time in my life when my mother absolutely did not know what I was going to turn out to be. I think she still may not know, and she would say, I can't wait to see you at 40. I want to just see what your life is like at 40. Yeah. So how did you?
Well, what about me, where they didn't know that I would ever have a degree, and now I'm doing my PhD,
and now you're
they're
working
like,
on your PhD. Yes.
Yeah. You know, it was, this is why if you go into marriage and child rearing, it tells you there are stages. There are stages. And unfortunately, the society does not prepare us for these hard times. Because I know I had my own share of hard times. And like Soba mentioned, all I could do was to cry without letting my children know. Cry out myself, go to the bathroom and wash my face, and come out feeling invigorated to face the challenges. That's what I keep telling people. I said, or if we say it in the Igbo language, it's a proverb. They say, "Ejiwo toto amanjo ahia." So you cannot decide what the trade will be like.
So early, you cannot at the beginning of the day know exactly what the day is going to look like.
Like at the end, you know. So it is very important for parents not to give up on their children at that time, but be able to ride with the punch, accept reality of what they are going through, and do the best you can within your reach. And that's the only way, because children will be children. Sometimes teenage age is a very traumatic age. It's a very serious age. And we should know the difference between girls and boys at that age.
So you're saying that, like you said, you don't go to school necessarily to get a degree, but it might behoove us, especially in this day and age where information is so accessible, to maybe take some parenting courses or read some books on parenting, because how you parented may not give you all the information that you need on how to parent. Okay, so this one I need you all to answer in 30 seconds each. How do you deal with the guilt of being a mother who also has a career?
No guilt.
How about you? I say Cozy. How about you, Soba?
I think there's a guilt. Because you're going, and you may trying to also be present. And I know that for my kids, especially with the younger ones now, like listening, but really listening. There's listening, and there's actually listening, understanding what they're really saying and what message they're conveying. So there is a slight guilt, but I think with time, I'm trying to figure out the right balance, because you do what I'm trying to avoid. is not necessarily regret, but saying, I wish I had. But so I think just being present at that time. So there is a slight guilt. Trust me, I'm looking for soft life. So if the dollars can get in real fast and we just chill, I'm good.
Okay, so does that make me a bad person? Because I have no guilt and I'm not playing.
No, you're not a bad
My
person.
children enjoy my career.
Yeah, because you're taking care of the other. But that doesn't mean that they didn't miss your presence. I, as a mother, yes, I had some guilt, especially in my own place. In my own place, there are so many games that I missed. And as the children,
Oh, you mean when we were playing sports and things?
yeah,
Okay.
I missed a lot of their games, even though there were friends, mothers that stood in as surrogate mother, doing all that. I still felt it would have been nice if I was there with them
instead of at work.
Yeah. But I have to balance it. Like the day when Caribbean was captain of soccer and they were playing and I was supposed to walk him across the field. And I left work driving like crazy, but had the accident and couldn't make it. I felt so bad because I know for my son, Caribbean, he would have been more elated to see me walking through that place. So there is some guilt, but at the end, you try to balance it by, making the children realize you have to do that to put the food on the table. And they need that food on the table. They need that to be able to be like other children, wear designers and all those things.
You did not buy any designer for us. I don't know what you did. You get any designer from mommy?
Yes. Remember when
what designer?
Remember when we used to drive to Zanesville?
Well, I don't know who got designer. I never got designer.
You were there.
Okay, y'all. We have about a minute left. So, last any parting words of advice for mothers out there, because mothers are dealing with a lot. So, 20 seconds each. Any parting words of advice? Kalani, we'll start with you.
Listen to your mother.
Unless
I'm serious. No, and that sounds funny, but in a perfect world or perfect situation, I know that there are outliers, but who's got your back like your mother?
Got it. How about you, Soba? 10 seconds.
I think learn to celebrate the positives. I think we're very hard on ourselves. And I think we're always wondering, are we doing it right? What would the kids, how would the kids feel? But I think sometimes I'm learning to do that for myself, just to say, like your book says, self-love. At some point, it's time to just pat and congratulate yourself sometimes, because we're too hard on ourselves.
All right, mommy, 15 seconds.
Thank you. My advice to mothers is you can't do it all. Give the rest to God. Be a praying mother, no matter what, because God has a way of helping us. Just do the best, put in your best, and leave the rest to God, and He will perfect it.
Well, we want to thank all of you for listening and for watching. Please continue to like, subscribe, share. And I want to thank my mother, who's 81 years young, for being here and for still mothering me and all of my children and all of my siblings and our collective children and the community. My mother actually used to be the one who give the children their traditional first bath. You have to ask me more about that later. I want to thank my sister Kalane. I love you. You are so incredible, and such an inspiration. And of course, my baby sister, Soba, thank you so much. I know it's really late where you are too, and I love you. And you are an incredible mother.